Hello and welcome to Money Lap. Big news. NASCAR has countersued Michael Jordan, 2311, Front Row Motorsports, and Curtis Polk. But before we get into that, we're doing something new here on Money Lap. Entirely new. But there are some new faces here that you're going to see if you're watching on YouTube. So what is this? So basically, for the Money Lap, you know it's myself and Landon talk about all motorsports, but there's a whole team behind us that work with us on this. And we decided when we looked at this year going to Mondays with our main show, they're getting long. They're like an hour and a half. And when we go on Mondays, we can't comment on things that happen through the week, and then we forget about them for the next week. And so there was only one solution, and that was to do two. So we are now going to attempt to do two Money Lap shows every week. We're calling this group chat because you see some new names and faces if you're watching on YouTube. That is our producer, Joshua Mendoza, you hear on the regular show. AJ, our video guy, will be joining us. He's pretty cool. Kyle Dagger's our everything guy. He might join in sometimes, and we might convince Brett Worsham, who does our graphics, to come on, but he's been hesitant so far. So one other thing, if you're listening on normal just podcast apps, as we like to say, this is a show, you're not going to get the full benefit of some other improvements we're making, because all of Money Lap is going to become more visual, more for YouTube. So there's going to be photos, graphics, possibly videos at times. And the best place to see that will be on YouTube. So please like, subscribe, share. And we're going to try and build and continue to build the best damn motorsport show we can now twice a week. It won't always just be me, by the way, hosting this. Sometimes it might be Landon hosting. Like next week, I'm going to be in Sebring. I'm going to call in. We're going to convince Landon to host it with these guys. We'll see if we make that happen, boys. But you kind of know Josh. AJ, no one knows you. Who are you? Where are you?
I am AJ. I am in Ohio. And that's about it. I do video editing for the Money Lap. Mostly if you see any reels, things like that, it's probably for me. That's about it. Really.
Wow. That was a hell of an intro. Jeez.
It's pretty boring.
You also look like a caveman.
Myself.
You also look like a caveman. I know I should have
do.
probably given you something better. What you don't know about AJ is in our group chat. So that's where the term came from. Our Money Lap group chat is pretty active almost every day. And it's full of just us sending each other funny tweets, motorsport videos we see, things we see across the internet. And one of the funniest people is AJ. He's also, a lot of times, if you've gotten a comment from our Money Lap Twitter or on YouTube and you thought it was kind of funny, that would be AJ. So, Josh, you have a lot to live up to.
I'm not going to be as funny as AJ, but I am going to be, I'm probably going to start some fires with my controversial takes and opinions, which is everyone's got to have that guy on the show. So here I am.
Hot take, Josh.
Ooh.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez. Watch out for that guy. Can't trust him.
They can't take my hard card away. I don't have it no more. So,
whoa, buddy. Slow down. First one here. First one. Jeez. Guys, so we did a show on Monday, Landon and I, over an hour and a half of motorsports chat, which you can always tell because Landon's basically falling asleep by the end when we go well over an hour and a half. So that was an interesting one. But we were looking at some of the YouTube comments. We had a ton of comments. But the biggest thing that happened in our YouTube comments was we got told we had created clickbait. What?
Yeah, we did.
Are you offended?
I mean, they had to click on the video to get there.
They had to
click.
Can you bring that up on our screen?
Yeah,
here?
let me.
For those that are listening, we'll try to describe, as I mentioned, for all you audio listeners, we'll describe what's on the screen best we can. So this person, Nate Gravy 123-KP50U, I think that might be the Russian ending to their title. I don't know what the deal is there.
I think it's like one of the default YouTube ones.
Oh, that makes sense. All right. Well, he says clickbait BS title, hardly a failure yesterday for SVG. I responded because I've been getting in the comments. I like to get in the YouTube comments sometimes. Well, watch the whole thing. You may find me said that in jest. Winky face. I did the winky face. He said your comment then proved it's clickbait. Then some other telesign got in here. He was like, hey, welcome to YouTube, my guy. It's the clickbait industry. and you clicked on the video and commented, it works. He was very upset about that because he's been a long-time subscriber. We don't want to call him out too hard. Just keep scrolling, Josh. I then hit him with a very long comment, which for the listeners, what I said basically was that, no, it's not clickbait, because we have a pretty simple rule at Money Lab about our thumbnails and our titling. And you guys have been involved in this. And we call it a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 means that's the best damn thumbnail and title you can come up with. That is going to entice people to want to click, get people to want to listen, want to comment, but never lie. And the reason this week's wasn't a lie was because we said that very thing. Now, we may have said it in jest about Shane Van Gisbergen and that he got his, rocked by NASCAR drivers, but we didn't lie. And that's the key. So it wasn't damn clickbait. AJ, you're the king.
Well, thank you. I will say Landon did say, and then he went on a very long philosophical rant about SVG getting raced by stock car drivers. So I will say it's pretty accurate, our title, in my opinion.
I mean, they're angry about that title, but there were some other titles that we came up with that if you would have been angry about this one, I think you might have just called your local representative about if you saw the other ones.
We have pushed it pretty far sometimes. We're in this industry. We're trying to get clicks. We're trying to get people to like, comment, subscribe, join us on YouTube. Let's look at one or two more. Was there any other two that stuck out from last week or from Monday? Besides our clickbait debate that happened.
Let's see. Let's go with the top comment. Let's see. What was the number? Oh,
my hat.
Yes.
Thank
you for showing this.
Yeah. This was Deck Jam 2. Said, I kind of want that Spoiler Diecast hat. I believe you can buy it at spoilerdiecast.com. Go check them out. Use code MONEYLAP, 5% off. And if you buy anything this month, you become eligible to win one of my number 48 Spike Core Diecast from 2024. So go do that.
There you go.
There was a lot of other comments, but they were a lot about track limits and some constructive stuff. That was interesting. We won't continue down that path. But guys, we did say there was huge news today. And this is why we're doing this. There was a lot of news dropped today. And this is what we want to be able to comment on. We will have a guest later. Bozi Tatarevic is going to join us from somewhere in the world. We were hoping Landon would join us. He's in California. He was going to try and call in for at least a minute. I don't know if that's going to happen. But like I said, this is always going to be a bit of a rotating cast. It's going to be a little different than our normal show. And you're going to hear some new and different voices. But the big news, NASCAR countersuit against Michael Jordan, 2311, Front Row Motorsports, and namely Curtis Polk, who's like Michael Jordan's right-hand man, his business partner, is one of the owners of 2311, because they are alleging that Curtis was trying to be basically an organizer of getting the teams to try and maybe do a boycott, that sort of thing. Josh, do you have our video from 23?
I am finding it right now, but if you carry on, I will get that video from 2023 for you.
In 2023, we did Money Lap Live, and we had Adam Stern come on one of our shows. And this is kind of where this is stemming from as well, what we're doing here. We've always wanted to get back to that. They were really successful. We did 5 of them. It was a lot of fun, 3+ hours of content each time. We had tons of guests from around the motorsport world. We want to get there and see what that's like and do it almost every week. So we did have him on, and he brought that very thing up. And one of the other things about this countersuit is that came out of this was that NASCAR went really heavy into the charter system and how they felt like the charter system has done nothing for them. It was all for the teams, and they are not interested in renegotiating the 2025 charter agreement. So there was actually some references to it being abolished altogether and go to all open teams, which I know personally, talking to some team owners, would be absolutely apocalyptic. It would enrage many of them. I don't know if there'd be compensation back for what they paid for them, that sort of thing. But many were very upset to hear that and have obviously been watching this lawsuit closely. This is sort of NASCAR countering what has happened in the initial lawsuit that Michael Jordan, 2311, and Front Row Motorsports did at end of last year. Then they 2311 and Front Row won that injunction to be able to race as chartered cars this season, which obviously helped them get into the Daytona 500 and just allowed them to be a normal chartered car getting those sorts of benefits. Josh, it's taking you a while to get this video.
I got it. I was just waiting for you.
So let's go this. Let's play that video for all the listeners. You can hear this was Adam Stern back in 2023 talking about basically some of the things going on with the chart negotiations at that time.
You know, just for example, speaking to one person last week who's close to several teams, several top owners and drivers, etc. I asked them if they thought that, you know, the deal that NASCAR got last week with their media rights partners was going to ensure that a deal would get done by Daytona, and they said no. And so if the deal doesn't get done by Daytona, well, on one hand, it's fine because, you know, the next deal for the charter agreements and the media rights don't start till 2025, but that'll start opening up the opportunity for teams to, you know, potentially pull stunts on the track. There's been rumblings about things like that. Nothing's happened, but, you know, there's been rumblings about teams, you know, somehow show their displeasure to NASCAR during a race. You know, obviously they could do things kind of with the PR side and kind of the media side as well, as they kind of did when they held that original, you know, just for example, speaking to close to several teams, several top owners and drivers, etc. I asked them if they thought that, you know,
I think it looped there.
Oh, we looped. All right. So that was really interesting. You heard me at the time go, that's interesting. Hadn't heard that one before. Adam did text me today and say, you know, basically that was the only other place that anyone said that other than this new countersuit from NASCAR and the 30-page just, you know, description of the lawsuit, or basically the lawsuit itself, whatever the legal term is for that. Not a lawyer here. Boys, I think where we can go down with, you know, discuss with this, if there's anything that stuck out to you. Obviously, Landon and I have talked about this ad nauseum for the last year or so. But as just two fans who've been involved in those shows, what sticks out to you in this lawsuit, if anything at all, or do you not care?
I'm just going to say it. Billable hours is always winning. That's the only thing that I'm taking away from this lawsuit is lawyers will always do something to make sure they get more hours. And there are two very happy people a part of this entire lawsuit. And it's the people for representing NASCAR and the people representing Michael Jordan 2311 and Front Row Motorsports. I think I'm looking at this, Parker, and I find it extremely, who knows? It to me, my mom's a lawyer, so I guess you get that lawyer blood through me.
Oh no.
But I'm not seeing anything in here that makes me scream, "Oh, this is a slam dunk."
I think it's, you know, it's a lot. It's the same thing we said back when it first came around. There's going to be moments where the teams look like they have the upper hand. There's going to be moments where NASCAR looks like it has the upper hand, and it's going to continually leak out and sort of, we're going to get bits and pieces here and there and that sort of thing and start to see as this develops. But I also think it's going to be a long time before we get a lot of answers to this whole process. And now I don't know anything about legal, which we said a million times and look out in, you know, legal jargon. But just looking at this, you know, that they're trying to point out is that really Curtis Polk and 2311 and FRM were trying to, and especially Curtis Polk, were trying to basically be, or is basically the mastermind and sort of pulling the strings behind the scenes of not allowing the teams to negotiate with NASCAR as a group. So then NASCAR went and did it individually. And, you know, sort of was trying to coerce everyone into doing something that would potentially hurt NASCAR versus, you know, be able to come to an agreement and get the charter agreement signed that ultimately, what was it? 30, would they say 15 teams signed, or 13 to 15 teams?
Yeah,
13 to 15 teams signed it, right? So that's their deal. I think the interesting thing is NASCAR very much admitting that charters don't do much for them, but it's very much for the teams. They also said that the teams have gone from roughly 38 to 40% of the revenue to now 49% of the revenue. And there was a quote saying, how much more, what more does Michael Jordan and them want? So we'll see. I don't know. AJ, are you a lawyer?
I'm not, unfortunately. I will say it is very interesting. Like, on one hand, I don't really care because, like, looking at lawyer stuff is the same as, like, taking apart, like seeing like those blown out diagrams of like airplanes, and then you're just looking at it, you're like, I don't understand what any of this stuff does. Like it makes it more confusing to even have it going on and like be in the public eye. But I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens. Is there a path that this could go down to where the teams could win their original lawsuit, but NASCAR also wins the counter lawsuit, or is that how this works?
Oh shit, I have no idea.
Okay.
I think so. It's a countersuit, so it should be treated as a separate lawsuit.
Yeah,
so.
it's like a separate thing. Okay.
Yeah, but
That's too confusing for my brain. I love your analogy there. It is like a
Yeah, you
model.
see what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's so well because
Yeah.
it's like whoa, that's confusing. I don't know how any of this works. It's like the saying, you know, how the sausage is made, sort of thing. You don't want to see it, and that's sort of in this. And legal jargon
yes.
is so tough to me. It's so confusing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to law school, and as we'll learn a little bit later as we go through some of the other topics that came out today, I also, in my lawyering, you know, being a lawyer career, I'm 0 for 1. So I've only lost
What was
by
your
one time.
loss?
Well,
too soon. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, my appeal for Daytona. We'll get into that. So I think we can rest on the discussion of what's happened there with the lawsuit. Look, there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of great reports from Jeff Gluck, Jenna Fryer, all the NASCAR media who have dived deep into that 30-page lawsuit and have taken out some of the best bits and pieces. You know, there's some things that are revealing. Some of the revenue stuff is revealing for sure, and what NASCAR believes the amount of revenue the teams are getting, or percentage of the revenue that teams are getting compared to where it was and how big a jump it was in their eyes. But, you know, I think we'll see as there's more stuff probably that can come out of all of this. Let's move into penalties.
Well, you gotta mention the one source on the lawsuit that made us all kind of go, "Oh, okay, this is interesting." Somewhere deep inside that lawsuit, there was a source for one of their claims, which now, trust me, I'm not going to disparage other media outlets, but when you get mad at us for our clickbait, I think everyone can appreciate when they see that article that pops up on their news timeline. And there's usually a couple of the same group of people putting out articles that make everyone go, that might be a stretch of what happened there. So there was an article from essentiallysports.com, and
I was going to say, are you never going to say it, or are you just going to?
Yeah, I'm sorry. There was a chat, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to end us up in a lawsuit against Essentially Sports. So,
well, no, they were in it, and they are definitely, when you talk about clickbait, which we've been accused of, they are the ultimate clickbait. It's these, you know, the ones you see on Facebook and the articles that have just the most ridiculous titles that have nothing to do with maybe the subject, or are completely extrapolating from one sentence into something that it isn't, and that sort of thing. So it's interesting to see them be listed. They do have sometimes like quotes and stuff they do it to our show all the time. I see Essentially Sports pop up where we have like the Google notifier deal that tells you like when your name is out there, and I see our podcast show, it gets picked up all the time, and they extrapolate from what we said. So I think it's, you know, it's the modern day media world, clickbait. Mm-hmm. They definitely are the masters of that. Funny to see them listed in this lawsuit as like a reputable source. Let's move to penalties. Can we?
Yeah.
All right. The first penalty that came out today was Austin Cindric, and that he's going to be fined $50,000 and 50 points for right rearing Ty Dillon on the front straightaway at Coda and lap, like in the first 5 laps or so. Crucially, he was not suspended for a race, which has happened in the past, because NASCAR said it felt like the slower speed of a road course and a lack of a caution / severe damage made it not suspension worthy. And I think we have this great tweet from Jeff Gluck to put up.
Oh, you're having me do like 6 things at once here.
How do you not do? What damn producer are you? It's supposed to be visual.
I know. There you go.
Oh, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. I look like, what?
I'm zooming in, buddy. I'm zooming in.
Is not the tweet I thought it was going to be.
Well, we'll get to that one. So
Okay.
this one says basically it's just Jeff Gluck putting out the news. NASCAR rules Austin Cindric intentionally right rear hook to Ty Dillon, but does not issue a suspension. Instead, Cindric is docked 50 points and fined $50,000. He is put from, I believe, like 14th in points to now being 34th. So it's a massive penalty for sure in that sense. But not being suspended was a little bit of a question mark for many, which if you look in the past, like when Carson Hocevar did to Harrison Burton last year under caution, he was not suspended for that. He was just penalized. And I think there was one other that out there that was kind of a non-suspension. And I think one of the things I listened to Hauler Talk with Mike Ford, who this is NASCAR's new podcast of like their side of things. And he basically said, look, fans won't like this, but each one of these is thought is sort of its own deal. You know, they don't all fit one template. They're evaluated differently, which I somewhat understand, you know, especially under caution versus not under caution versus a high speed track versus a low speed track, that sort of stuff. If there was damage or not, if it caused a caution, I get all that. I just find it like right rearing is kind of just like a no-no, I felt like. But, you know, in this case, they've deemed it not to be the level of, say, what Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson went through a couple years ago.
Yeah, I kind of get it. Like, I get where they're coming from. It's up to them at the end of the day. So,
I just, it's funny. I just think back to, I think it was Riley Herbst or somebody in a monster car at Pocono, right hooking someone and getting parked for 4 laps. I mean, it was in the Xfinity Series. It was at Pocono. It was coming out of turn 3. Obviously, unsafe condition. And it's just, I don't know. It's just.
You got another tweet here.
Yeah.
So this is an image from Jeff Gluck, and he goes to the onboard that you can get on Max and took a screenshot of Ty Dillon being spun around at over 100 miles an hour. So is that low speed? I mean, in the racing world, that is kind of low speed. You know, if you think about it, the slowest corner you're going to go through in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2025 would be maybe turn 1 at Coda. You're probably down around 40 miles an hour. So, you know, half of 100, but like 100 miles per hour for the NASCAR Cup Series is a relatively slow speed in that sense. You know, 150, 175, 200, obviously at the speedways, that is a far different equation than being right reared at 100.
that is a good point. However, I didn't even think about it until I saw the screenshot. What if he gets right hooked and then like somebody hits him in like the driver's side door or, you know, something similar? You know, you can't have that.
That's a good point. I think that would have probably been put in the thought process, right? From what I understand, they would have then said, okay, this caused major damage. It was dangerous, that sort of thing. I mean, they were basically battling for dead last.
Out of the race.
Yeah, it took someone else out of the race. They were basically battling for dead last when this happened. So, you know, there was no one else to hit him.
Yeah, that's true.
I've never been
I don't know.
there for dead last. I wouldn't know what that's like, guys. No. Never found myself in that position. Jeez.
Oh, we got video.
Oh.
I mean,
this is much better than a picture.
We can watch the video if we want to analyze the video. I don't know if we can. All right. Let's
this
try
was on Twitter.
If it'll play. There we go.
Oh, this is perfect.
This was on Twitter of Steven Toronto.
Still out there.
And spun around.
What we got right rear there?
Man. Oh, there's cars behind him. At least one.
Yeah, it was one.
Everybody get rolling again.
I said basically dead last.
No caution.
You know,
do we have the Kyle Busch? Kyle Busch made a comment about this. It wasn't a tweet, but I think somebody interviewed him.
What did he say?
That was the tweet I was referring to earlier. He said, in his mind, the kind of what you were saying a little bit. Intent is intent. Doesn't matter if it's Charlotte or, you know, Martinsville or whatever. Like right hooking, kind of like you were saying earlier, right hooking is like a big no-no. That was his. Assuming that was a real tweet, I kind of just scrolled by it and I was like, oh yeah, good point, Kyle Busch. Somebody could have just made that up, but I'm pretty sure it's out there somewhere.
That is the level at which we're gonna go to get the information. AJ just scrolling past the tweet. That makes sense. All right, cool. Awesome.
That's the hard-hitting journalism. It's like when you
Yeah.
ask me and I'm like very clearly not paying attention to the conversation during your guys' thing. And you're like, Josh, what's your thoughts on this? I'm like, yeah, totally. I agree with that. So
Awesome. Thanks.
yeah, we love that.
Appreciate
We try and do our best here.
I think we can put that to bed as they've decided to treat it differently. And now we know they're going to be treated differently. And we're just going to have to figure out what is the limits. It's like when the Austin Dillon deal happened at Richmond last year. That established the idea that that was too far to try and win a race, which was to drive through someone and
Which
then
was also
right rear
somebody.
somebody. Yeah, it's true. Good point.
So and that was a pretty hard hit that Denny had. He didn't
He
get
did.
suspended for that, right? He just lost. He didn't even lose. He didn't even get like DQ'd. He just lost his chase spot, right? I'm assuming there was a fine. I don't remember, but
Yeah, fine. And then they lost their playoff spot. Get that right, by the way.
yeah.
That's disappointing. You do all these videos, same playoffs, and you just said chase.
Wait, when was
Did I
this?
just call it the chase?
You just call it the chase.
Oh, dude, I'm showing my age. Look at me.
The caveman is stuck in the past. Jeez.
It'll always be the chase to me.
Oh, it's always a
Yeah.
chase in his heart.
I kind of prefer the chase over the playoff, but that's just
Well,
me.
playoff doesn't make any sense. It's
Mm.
a race. We don't play anything.
Okay.
There's your hot take.
Let's go to the next thing that was announced, and this is where we can talk about why my Twitter is blowing up today. Chase Briscoe and Joe Gibbs Racing were able to win their appeal against NASCAR over these oblong holes where the bolts go through to attach the spoiler to the rear of the race car that they raced at Daytona. And I now have a bajillion tweets that say NASCAR hates you. I don't think they hate me, but what I have learned in this process, as I said earlier, is I am 0 for 1 in my lawyer career, and felt like I played lawyer really well. I mean, I watched Suits for like 3 straight days trying to get ready, and felt like I could walk in there and be like, I got legal jargon. I got an idea of how to get to the source. I got an idea how to figure out the angles and the holes in your argument. I failed miserably. But Joe Gibbs Racing, on the other hand, did not fail. And they basically, what I saw from the appeal board said was that this was not a modified part, and that they're arguing that essentially they were trying to attach, with either from the spoiler being on there and moving around, or from attaching and detaching and reattaching that spoiler, the area, those holes kind of got oblonged somewhat. I'm skeptical of that, by the way, because I know race teams.
What's the material? Is it just like sheet metal? Is it like carbon fiber? What are those made? I don't even know what part of the spoiler it was. Like, it was just like the actual spoiler. Did they say that anywhere?
They didn't, actually. They did not.
No. I feel like that's kind of important, because if it's like some sort of plastic, it's like, okay, I get it. But if it's like metal, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
You got to really work that out to start oblonging holes. That didn't just happen, just unscrewing stuff.
I just find it interesting for a cup level team to be like, what? We just been attaching and reattaching that piece. What do you mean? How does that happen?
Yeah, we take it off and on and off all the time. We've been using the same spoiler since the next gen came out.
Man, we can't get another spoiler out there. We're supposed to be getting our first guest of this new adventure with Money Lap, and that is Bozi Tatarevic, who's going to join us to dive into this, because he's kind of like the tech guy on Twitter for NASCAR.
Oh, yeah.
Great dude. I think he could come on here.
He'd be a great person to answer your question, AJ, on what that material is made out
Yes,
of.
he would be.
Yeah,
and I think he's
literally
here.
the perfect guy.
I think he's
All
here,
right.
guys.
Whoa,
Bozi!
look at that.
What up, dude?
Oh,
Thanks
What's
for coming
going on?
man? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, thanks for joining Money Lap. On here with me is Josh Mendoza, AJ Henderson, our video guy. Josh is our producer. We're starting these Wednesday shows. You're our first ever guest as we've done this. So we do most
Big honor.
Yeah, we normally do our normal show, Landon and I, on Monday. We're now doing Mondays and Wednesdays, and it's going to be a rotating cast. So thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. We're talking about this Joe Gibbs Racing winning their appeal What I have
Yeah.
learned, and I just said this to them, I'm a terrible lawyer apparently because I'm 0 for 1 in my lawyer career. But Joe Gibbs Racing got some better firepower. How did they? What was the thing they got penalized for, and how did they get out of it? From what you've seen.
So the penalty was modifying a single source part. So basically, the spoiler base is what holds the spoiler to the deck lid of the NASCAR Cup car, and there are a bunch of bolts underneath, 19 bolts actually, that go through the spoiler base to bolt it into the deck lid. So what NASCAR recognized when they took that apart at the R&D center is that some of those holes were oblong. So their reaction is, hey, we expect these holes to be round, and now they've been stretched out. And if you stretch out the holes, you could theoretically move the spoiler so it's not in the airflow, so you could possibly have less drag. So NASCAR, their immediate response was, hey, this is illegal. You've modified a part outside of its restricted use, so we're going to give you this penalty. And Joe Gibbs Racing said, no, we want to appeal because there's a possibility for wear and tear. And as I said, when the penalty came out, I thought immediately that they had a good case, because in my limited experience in working on Cup cars, one of the things that I remembered specifically is at the Daytona 500, trying to close the deck lid was a pretty complex task because the deck lid fits really, really closely with the tail section. So when you close it, it's very tight. And I could see where a team could argue that all of those pieces being so tight, plus having 19 bolts that you have to match up that are in an irregular pattern, could cause you to get some wear and tear on some of the holes. And being a mechanic and knowing how mechanics work, when you have a bunch of bolts that you need to attach, sometimes you persuade bolts to go into holes if there's, stuff that's really close. So my thought was, hey, they just basically, bolted this on as, they thought they should, and maybe somebody forced a bolt or two to kind of massage it in place to get it going so it could all be tightened. So the basic thing was NASCAR said, hey, you modified these holes because they could see an advantage. And JGR said, well, we didn't modify it. It was, that's probably what they argued, is like, hey, this is just wear and tear from trying to install this properly.
Interesting. All right. So we're not saying, I just find it hard when I think of Cup level teams, especially like a Joe Gibbs Racing, to just be like, whoa, oh, I guess we just put it on and took it off too many times, sort of thing. Because if those are oblong, that spoiler could move, is what you're saying.
Well, it could potentially move, but the biggest argument in their case is that all of those pieces fit so closely together. So even if you gave the spoiler base room to move, it would get pushed back in because the tail section sits so closely. And the key to that is actually an early communique from NASCAR where the vendor building the spoiler bases sent and communicate to teams, which is an official bulletin that said, hey, you can actually modify these spoiler bases a little bit because they fit so tightly. So I think Joe Gibbs Racing had that on their side as well, where they could say, hey, a couple of years ago, this stuff fits so tightly that we had to modify it to make it just all fit together so the deck lid wouldn't bow out. And then on top of that, they could show, well, if we had modified the parts, then we would have machined all this, but instead, maybe they had 2 holes or 4 holes that were oblong. And I think that all of those pieces together, plus the nature of the race, I think also helps their case, which is kind of how I would have presented it. When I looked at it, I would say, hey, this is the Daytona 500. This isn't a road course race. This isn't a short track race. Track position really doesn't matter that much. So why would you take the risk of having such a huge penalty to modify a single source part for a super speedway race where, you're going to be going back and forth all race?
They did win the pole though, right? So they had some speed. They had some speed that week. I was going to say AJ had a great thought before you jumped on here, and he was like, AJ, I'm just going to steal your question. You just got to sit there. Okay. All right. So
I'll correct you if you do it wrong.
Yeah. Let me know if I do this wrong. He was wondering what material that is that kind of got wore out. Is that like a plastic material, composite? What are we looking at? Do you know?
It's a fairly thin carbon composite. So it's like some parts, like say the splitter will have like, a foam or honeycomb that reinforces it. But here it's maybe a couple of layers of carbon. So it's not that hard to wear it out. And you also have to consider that 2 of those 19 holes have special bolts through them because that's where the tethers for the decklet attach. So there's a bunch of stuff you're trying to align. And if you've ever tried to assemble a thin carbon panel, or even try to assemble, say, a piece of furniture that has bolts in a varying arrangement. Occasionally, if there's 6 bolts, you'll put in 5 of them, and then the 6th one will just be slightly off, and you kind of have to massage it in. That's where I could see some of the stuff getting wear and tear, but also to play devil's advocate, as you said, these are top-level Cup teams, so they're always going to try to find an advantage. And I think here that they had enough on their side. And my personal opinion was that if I was in that position, I just wouldn't be taking the risk. So I know that, they were obviously fast in qualifying, but on the other hand, if you really wanted to, have the speed and the track position, you would want to save that for, Martinsville or Coda or wherever else, so you could stay out front and, get that really good track position. Because here, you're obviously, you have the prestige of having the Daytona 500 pole, but other than that, and, getting, a guaranteed spot in the race and getting to take your picture, like, what are you really gaining, like, from a big picture perspective?
I feel like it reminds me, and AJ, this goes to your materials point. It's like when you have something from IKEA and you have to sort of screw it into the wood and it sort of breaks apart and you make the hole too big and you're like, damn it, it's not going to fit. And it's sort of wobbly from that point on.
Yeah.
So they're basically saying like they were trying to build their IKEA car and it didn't work out for them.
I mean, so you can see, well, this photo just popped up on screen. You can see 4 of those 19 bolts there on the right side of the screen. You can see how closely everything fits. And then the top side of that is the edge that meets the deck lid. And that's what, a couple of years ago, they actually allowed teams to sand down because the fit was so tight. And I think that's the whole basis of the argument, is that tail fits so closely to the spoiler base that there's, even if you could move the spoiler base back and forth, as soon as you close the deck lid, it's going to push it forward. So there's you're not really able to gain a huge benefit once it's all fully assembled.
All right, how big are those bolts?
That's a good question. I can actually pull up the parts. I don't know them off the top, but I don't know them off the top of my head.
Well, for the listeners, I was just saying those are very small. They're small bolts.
Correct. Yes.
That leads me to a fun question. All right, is a lot of the stuff on the NASCAR Next Gen, is a lot of it metric or English?
Most of it is English or SAE. So that was one of the hardships I had when I did a handful of Cup races for the 84 car. Is I'm used to working in metric in sports cars, and I know if somebody tells me 10 millimeter or whatever, I know in my mind like the size that when I'm walking over to the toolbox without even looking at what's marked on the socket or wrench. But here, I showed up to the 500. Well, I showed up to the shop a few weeks before that, but like even at the 500, they're like, yeah, we need to do these are 3/16 over here. We need to adjust the diffuser or whatever. That's a 5/16. So we got to move some tungsten over from one side to the other. And they're throwing out all these measurements, and I have to go to the toolbox and take like a very specific look of like, all right, which one is this? Because it's so different. But on the Next Gen, most of the hardware that's for the bodywork, chassis, and all that stuff is SAE or standard. The only metric stuff is really vendor-specific stuff. So like the pedal box, because that comes from AP Racing. So, and it's just a modified version of a sports car pedal box. So that's all metric. And there's a handful of other things that are metric, but I would say 80 or 85% of the car is probably standard.
Cool. That's the exact opposite of my experience going to IMSA, where everything was in metric suddenly. And now I'm doing the Sebring 12-hour, and when I show up, I'm like, wait, what is bar compared to PSI? And they're like in Celsius to Fahrenheit, and then I'm talking liters, and I'm like, this is so confusing. So I just it's funny, I don't know if you had this, but in the time when I'm doing it, I forget that the metric system, or I guess the imperial system, the US way, exist. And I just go all in on like, those are the numbers I know for that weekend. And then I leave and I completely forget it. And I'm back in NASCAR land where we're dealing in America's measurements.
That is hilarious, because actually I was listening to your discussion about Rolex and you were talking about PSI for brake pressure. And my mind is just so trained the other way. I was like 1,200. I was like, that's a really big number. I was like, what is going on? And I was like, yeah, we're not talking about like bar or millibar or whatever else. It's like, yeah, it's like it's been converted into American because I'm used to hearing much smaller numbers when talking about brake pressure, and you're talking about 1,200 or 1,800. I was like, oh, but that was actually a very interesting conversation because it was something that I had not really considered, that you would need just that much more, and how much ABS makes a difference, like one way or the other. So that was kind of an interesting discussion.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that was the bar to PSI. I've started to learn that conversion, so a little bit. 1,200 is about 90 bar. 1,200 pounds is 90 bar, 86, 88 bar. So, and the big time guys get to 100. We're talking about brake pressure in a sports car. For those that don't know, that are listening out there and or watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. We like brake pressure in a stock car is 1,200. In a sports car like the Lamborghini I drive when we race at Sebring is like 1,800 pounds of pressure, which is like 150 bar or something crazy. So, my man,
it's pretty significant. And that bolt is one quarter is the bolt for the spoiler base. I actually looked it up while you were talking about that. So it's 1/4 -28, and it's 3/4 of an inch long. Grade 12.9. So it's if somebody wants to examine it, that's the spec.
My girlfriend knows those same measurements well. No, I'm kidding. My man, that is very informational. I appreciate you coming on, taking the time here on this new thing we're doing on My Lap. You're always awesome to give us your time. You're so informative. Your Twitter is amazing, and I'm always consuming all your stuff about the tech side and your deep dives. It's amazing. You know the rule book on the technical side, at least publicly, better than anyone out there. So we appreciate your service.
Thank you for having me on. Good to talk to you guys.
See you, buddy. Thank you
so much.
See ya.
That was informational.
Oh, that was great.
Super.
Yeah, that answered all my questions.
He's the best. He's great like that. So that's how we found out that Chase Briscoe gets his spot back. He now vaults up to like top 15 in points, by the way.
I'm just gonna say him losing that appeal was a really big hit for me. I was ahead of him in points in the Cup Series, and I don't know. That just doesn't seem fair. That he can just do that, and me with my 0 starts and suddenly down up spot. That's just not fair.
Yeah,
that was a joke on Reddit everywhere. AJ, don't laugh at him.
Wow, gotta call me out. Yeah, I browse Reddit.
Are people making jokes like that about yours now?
What's that?
About that they have more points than you or something in trucks? Or specifically just Chase?
No, Parker has a point in trucks.
Yeah, well, I finished. Yeah, I was given 36th. I was dead last.
Yeah. So he still has us beat.
So you're ahead of us.
Yeah.
The worst thing ever.
I mean, I go out and make a start this year, though, Parker. I'm chasing you down.
No, I am literally.
We're tied with you at least.
I am infinity higher than you guys in the Truck Series points.
Wow.
That is
well, it's
true.
literally
you
can't even get one. So there's just zero chance.
We can. If I win the lottery, I'm going to show up to North Wilkesboro.
I love that. I'm just going to take my kids' college fund and put it all into one truck ride.
What would be your race team name, AJ?
Henderson Motorsports 2.
That is one thing we should point out. Your last name is Henderson, which is no relation to the Hendersons who I drive for. Do you know there's also a guy?
I wish it was.
Well, I know you'd be a race car driver probably. There is a guy
driving that 75 truck.
Oh wow, thanks, man. Coming from my ride. There is a guy on that team who showed up this year for the first time, and his last name, he was helping us out at Daytona. It was his first race, or maybe his second. His last name is Henderson as well. No relation to the Hendersons.
Wow.
We are just surrounded.
All congregating to take over NASCAR.
Something about me and the last name Henderson. You guys all gravitate towards me. Yeah. I'm like the nucleus in this, I feel like, somehow.
Yep.
Josh, are we able to get the clip from the Holler Talk that I was talking about?
Yeah, we can get that clip. Yeah, I can. Let me go ahead and let's get it going right about now. I just will say, I hope AJ trying to hide his last name because he didn't put his last name onto his name card like the
I
rest
didn't
of
know
us
we were
did.
doing that. I didn't know we were doing that.
Oh my
I'm sorry.
goodness. I didn't even notice that.
If he was, you just totally called him out, Parker. So
I would have done it. I didn't know that.
He's
I didn't
been
know that's what we were
doxxed.
doing.
He's been doxxed here.
Yep.
I want to move on to this next topic because we talked about penalties. One of the things that happened this past weekend at COTA, we discussed it on Monday between Lane and myself, was obviously track limits and what they tried to do from NASCAR side in terms of trying to limit track limits in a natural fashion as opposed to the video/AI software they use to evaluate track limits through the S's there at COTA. And when we arrived last week, there was these tech pro barriers that I thought was a novel idea. I thought, kudos to them. I'm going to give them major props. They had the balls to try something like this, which no other racing series did. And it essentially became like tire pack/tech pro barriers that were in the middle of the S's each corner so that you wouldn't be able to cut it. It would be like at a street course or at Surfer's Paradise. If you're a big supercars fan, they have the barriers in the middle of the S's there that the cars get super close to that are like tire packs there. These were tech pro barriers. They were supposed to weigh like 250 pounds each. Well, Mike Ford actually went into why they removed them. And I thought the way they tested them, which I had not heard over the weekend, didn't know this. I was right there. I can't believe I didn't get to see this. Was pretty interesting. So Josh, if you have that clip from them, let's take a listen.
I don't know what is happening. Something broke on my end.
Oh, great.
Hello, can you hear me?
Frozen.
Yeah, we can hear
Yes,
you, but
we
you're
do.
frozen.
Oh, sick. Let me just hit play.
Too
many
the deciding
tabs.
factor for us was the hands-on testing, which I thought was pretty interesting. So how do you test how these barriers would do if a car hit them? The only way to do it is hitting them. And so a member of Steve Swift's team got in a pickup truck and ran into it, middled it head on at 10 miles per hour, and it was fine. 20, fine. 30, less than fine. 40, middling it at 40, it started acting, the words that were used, the description that we used, it became an air hockey puck. So if you middled it up at 40 miles per hour, the likelihood would be that it would go onto the racing surface, which could cause obviously way more havoc than actually clipping it and shortcutting the course and letting us know that you did that. So it was clear to us there was going to be some unintended consequences if we did that. I think middling it would be rare. I guess the 48 may have when they had their issue, but we did see a similar thing, tire pack in 6A, and I don't think it was even scraped once the entire weekend. So if they wanted to stay away from it, they could have, but we didn't want to take that chance. So we decided Thursday evening, and had some discussions into Friday morning, and just decided to eliminate that.
That was when,
So they ran into it.
they're- Yeah, that is pretty funny.
I love that.
It's a good idea. If you want to see it. I thought they were trying to see if they were running into them to see like how fast you had to go before somebody got hurt, which didn't make any sense. But seeing if they would move on to the race surface, that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad their solution was to get rid of them and then halfway through the race, just stop counting corner cuts in one of the corners for no reason. I think that was a very good idea.
So they did go into that too, by the way.
Oh.
And we all kind of had it wrong. Apparently turn 6 was just never going to be a place that they were checking for track limits. And it just wasn't that clear. And eventually, what they saw in the cup race and what you saw the angle was cutting there wasn't massive. Now there's a lot more grip in that paint there, but the angle you would have into 6 was kind of awkward. And there was a grass that you didn't want to clip. So, the guys who did it weren't massively faster than anyone else. So it wasn't a huge advantage. It looked weird. That's for sure. But I don't think it was like a massive difference. Although Landon had the funniest comment, which was like, basically it became like Mario Kart where the track changes every lap that you come down through there. It's like, which one am I using this time? Are we going left or right, boys? Are we going to the cut?
Yeah.
We're not going to the cut.
Yeah. I don't want to hear about no arrow push in that corner because there's 8 different lanes you could choose.
No, yeah, if you got arrow push in that one, you've got big problems. So, although actually the cup
Oh, do they
car
not have
gets it
arrow
everywhere.
push on the road course? Okay.
No, they do. The cup car has it everywhere.
They change their mind like every road course we go to. The cup driver's like, oh, I can't. There's arrow push, and then the next time it's fine.
Sorry, give me that again. What is that?
What is what?
What,
I'm not
say
saying
that
it
one more
again.
time.
That was your one
Nope.
chance, buddy. I just sometimes when they go to, it's just sometimes you hear about it like all weekend, and then there's some races you go to a road course and like they don't talk about it at all. So I feel like Watkins Glen last year, nobody talked about it.
Yeah, well,
like
they
the
had
year
the
before they
tire
did.
falling off a lot more, so the
Oh,
tire
okay,
became a
that's
big
fair.
problem. Yeah,
I
Yeah.
guess.
So-
Oh, okay, they win.
You guys hear me?
They win.
we got you, buddy.
All
Hey,
right.
you're back.
My other computer died on me, so I had to go and
Perfect.
save it from
have a
the
backup
death of this
computer.
I do.
You're using 2 computers?
I am. I
Huh.
always love to overcomplicate things. That's kind of my thing. I just love to look at like a simple analysis of something and say I can make it more complicated. So
Speaking of complication, let's keep this moving. So we're here on this first. we want to get to a couple more things on this first ever second of the week Money Lap show called Group Chat, but we're not sure that will stick. We'll see. But please let us know what you think of this. Obviously, in the comments on YouTube, please like, subscribe, share this with friends. If you're listening on audio, hopefully we've done a good job of describing what's happening visually. And it still sounds good and you enjoy it. We're hoping so. So, Josh, can we move on to an idea we had, which was to go to NASCAR Reddit and take a couple of the biggest topics we see this week and dive into them because they had some pretty good stuff.
yeah. So let's just put up the banner.
Oh,
and
we're
then
calling
we'll
this
go-
"What's Reddit Saying?"
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, give me the first
jump
one.
Scare.
Oh yeah, what?
We
You're not-
gotta
You're not watching. Denny Hamlin has just appeared on our screen. Smiling
Denny
at us.
Hamlin. They are talking about Denny Hamlin tweeting, "Come see me actively promoting and growing our sport this Saturday."
I love that one. I saw this tweet.
Is that a dig at the lawsuit stuff?
Yes,
Okay.
it is, and it's just him quote tweeting some of his appearances for sports clips, I believe. But it's typical Denny fashion. It's a total dig, and it's awesome. So.
Top comment, how many points does this get him? And top reply, -50 driver and owner points.
And the points, we should point out the points is the new driver ambassador program point system, which you've seen be reported by Adam Stern and a couple other journalists. And that is essentially this idea that every driver gets some amount of points for appearances they do on behalf of NASCAR, whether that's going to promote a race or going on someone's podcast. But if they came on this, it would be a show. And they get, depending on how big it is and what it is. And then also sort of what your success factor is. So like a champ gets a multiplier on their appearances, that sort of thing. If you're, the most popular driver, you get a multiplier, that sort of thing. So NASCAR is handing out between tens of thousands and $1 million twice a year to these drivers for promoting.
Just want to say congratulations to Chase Elliott for the $1 million bonus.
You got to do the work. You got to go after it. I think honestly for your middle range driver, say you're 25th to 20th in points, it's actually a massive deal for them. Most likely between 5 and 6 figures is what the math comes out to that they'll be compensated. And that's huge because, they might do some appearances that are nowhere close to that. Right. And now they're really being compensated, obviously, for your top end champions / most popular driver, that sort of thing. They don't have to do as much, and because they're multiplier, they can get a massive reward. And I think it's also it's massive for them. If you're for the back end, it could be scraps, but that kind of makes sense. Like if you're not adding much and you're not working hard and you're not really doing, big on social media and that sort of thing, you're probably not. There's not a lot of people tuning in and not a lot of people buying tickets to see you race. So it makes sense.
Do you think Chase Elliott wanted to be at the Super Bowl, or do you think he got pointed and got points for being at the Super Bowl?
I don't know. I'd have to ask. I don't know. But
I do wonder. I have so many questions regarding this topic because it's like one, how genuine is it? Like, can you just go to a bunch of random signings everywhere and does that get you points? But that doesn't necessarily grow the sport because all the people that are going to a Chase Elliott signing are already fans, Or at the same time, we've also seen some people in we've seen Tyler Reddick in a commercial, a couple other drivers. But it's is it just coincidental? Were they going to do those anyway?
They were probably okay. Let me break this down. So if there's stuff you're doing for your sponsor, that sort of thing, it probably doesn't count unless it's sort of earned
Yeah.
media. So like if you went to Good Morning America and launched your new sponsor, that because you got there and that's earned media, that could be something that gives you points. Now, at the same time, you might go to do hauler signings and that sort of thing. And that I think there's scraps that can add up. But then there's a lot of things where NASCAR will actually say, hey, we're looking, you 5 drivers are being offered this thing, accept or don't. If you accept, you are rewarded and you go do it. Obviously, you get rewarded. So, and if you don't accept in time, you might have missed your chance. So I think it's a cool system. Golf did this. They've already been doing this for a couple of years now. And I absolutely think it's an awesome system. I'm sad I'm not a Cup driver just as this system.
Is there some cases where like the drivers can like go on their own initiative and get points for it? Like if I'm like I don't know who's like a good example. I'll just say Chase Elliott, just because he's the most popular. Like Chase Elliott's like, hey, I show speed. I want to go on your Twitch stream.
Yeah,
100%. I imagine he would get okay. But that's like if I won $1 million, if I'm like Justin Haley, dude, I'm DMing every big Twitch streamer nonstop all year. Just gonna
give me your strategy. Why wouldn't you be Carson Hocevar?
Drop me.
He's already a Twitch streamer. Hocevar's Twitch streaming.
Yeah, but he's not. He's not like a.
No, I know, but why he could go to the big ones and do that because he's already there. You just gave him the plan.
A good excuse.
Yeah, tell Carson.
Well, okay,
Carson, we got the plan for you.
Carson, I know you're listening. He listens every week.
He does.
If you end up going on iShowSpeed's Twitch stream, please give me part of the $1 million because you're 100% going to win it just for that. I'm not even like a big iShowSpeed fan. I keep seeing him everywhere on my Twitter. I'm not looking for it, but it's everywhere.
We now know what your is.
When did you get a NASCAR driver onto Mr. Beast? That's where it's gonna.
There you go. Yeah, Mr. Beast. That's another good one.
That'd be big.
That'd
be really big. What's our next topic, Josh?
Hold on, I got it. My cat decided to bother us in the middle of all this.
The lack of professionalism over here.
The next one is the NASCAR Twitter account got hacked, and credit to NASCAR, they weren't the only ones. NBA got hacked as well. NBA Spain got hacked, but are we anyway surprised that if somebody hacks the NASCAR Twitter account, they're gonna do a rug pull cryptocurrency scam?
It basically was offering a NASCAR Solana token, which for those that don't know crypto very well, which I know fairly well, really well. I'm an investor in a Bitcoin mining company for the last now we're almost at 6, 7, 8 years maybe, and have been very involved in crypto. Solana is a blockchain that was started by FTX, the now defunct FTX, but has gone on to become one of the more popular blockchains because its ease of, or the speed of its transactions and the cheapness of its transactions. And because of that, it's become like the Wild West of launching what is called shit coins, also meme coins.
Whoa.
Meme coins. Whoa, hold on. Let me explain. Meme coins.
Got a button on your keyboard, on your board, man.
No, yeah, I don't care about it. That's going to be fine. So meme coins are, what is Dogecoin is a meme coin. You've seen some of the other ones out there probably, and they've gotten pretty big. And then on Solana, there are ones that got large. One of the ones that was huge in the end of fall was Fartcoin. That's, whatever. Wow. I think it got to a billion market cap. Nonetheless,
wow.
Because Solana is so cheap and because of things called like the site called Pump.fund, they can launch coins every 5 seconds. They're launching like 50,000. People are launching 50,000 coins a day, something crazy like that. And it's started this like hacking movement of people who hack these large accounts and then launch a coin, quote unquote coin, and then it goes up in value by 10x or whatever, 15, 20x, 1000x, you name it. And then they hold like most of the supply and they sell it and everyone loses their money. So it's called a rug pull. And that's what this group tried to do. Yeah. Allegedly. Well, that's if she did that or not, but it sounds like the group she was working with definitely did that. So
allegedly.
We don't want to get on CoffeeZilla. Let's
No. What are we doing? This is bad stuff. We're going down on the internet. Help. Abort. So anyway, this was on NASCAR and you mentioned NBA had it as well at the same time. So obviously some sort of like social media platform that they all use got hacked or something. Because I'm assuming NBA and NASCAR don't use the same password.
Probably the same ad agency.
Yeah, or ad agency.
ad agency or
Believe it or
whatever.
not, NASCAR and the NBA have the same social media manager. It's the same guy.
Oh yeah, is it you?
It was me. Yeah. Yep.
Well,
Okay,
thank
man.
goodness
More.
the bunny lap got spared. We
did. We got
we
no
changed our
coin.
password like last week, so we're good.
We got no coin, but if it was up to Landon and I, we probably would have had a coin by now. So
All right. Question.
moving on.
You have just hacked into the NASCAR Twitter account. What are you posting on
Easy.
the Twitter account?
Easy.
I already know Parker's answer.
1,000 horsepower. Parker wins Daytona. Sorry.
Oh.
just-
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah.
I would tweet Brad Keselowski wrecking Jeff Gordon at Texas 2014 never happened. Jeff actually won that race and won the championship.
Wow.
And I would scrub all the video offline so nobody could ever argue that I was wrong. What about you, Joe?
You've been on. Wait, just before we go further, for those that don't know, in our group chat for the last 2 years, you at any time that can be brought up, you bring it up.
Yeah, I'm still mad about it, dude. I'll never not be mad about it.
11 years ago.
I would do something along the lines of like, we have decided to go forward and expand the partnership with CW Sports. They are now covering all Cup Series races too.
Wow, that's a good one.
No comment.
Oh, this would be a really good. People need to put these in the comments. What they would do.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
a great.
drop
Wow, look at you being good at the internet.
That's a very.
If you're
that's a
watching on
very
YouTube,
weird-
please put it in the comments what you would comment or what you would say. Let us know. That was,
Yeah, if you hack NASCAR, what would you say?
We are officially promoting the Money Lap to a. They are now getting 3 charters with our new OEM manufacturer Lamborghini.
yeah, love it. Perfect.
Yeah.
We all
Sign
get
me up.
company cars now.
Side, yeah, perfect. Yes, yes. All right, what's our last topic? We're gonna do 3 of these.
Our last topic, and I'm just gonna put it here, and all you got to say, it's simple. It's bruh. Henderson Motorsports
Yes.
on Twitter, bruh.
Come on, this is a setup. How did I not know about this? Yeah, I'm guessing they quote tweeted the
Let's grab
HR
it.
winning their appeal.
But that would be it.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm sorry, Henderson Motorsports. I'm a terrible lawyer, is what we've learned. So do not come to me for your lawyer needs.
Yep.
I don't have a legal degree, first and foremost. So that would be the number one reason not to come. The second is if you still want me to represent you, I have a losing record. Unless you want to lose, come to me. So
The some of the top comments is appropriate reaction. Appeals only work if you're one of the big 3 teams or Jeremy Clements for some reason. And then someone said, I mean, at least Lionel is still making a race then win crossed out DNF diecast of the 75.
and one
That is true.
as Legend said.
Where's Chase Briscoe's diecast?
Yeah.
He's not going to race version diecast.
No. It
So
didn't.
who's the real winner here?
That's a good point. Who is the real winner? And maybe t-shirts too.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. That's enough from Reddit. That's cool. I'm glad we're doing that. We're going to try and incorporate that every week now. So on both shows, I think. Or both days that we do this. Gosh, this is really confusing for me to remember how to do all this. Looking ahead, we got Phoenix coming up in NASCAR this weekend. I just saw this interesting tweet from NASCAR Insights. It's the average running position at Phoenix with the next gen car. It's on our screen there. Kevin Harvick still leads. He's probably going to hold that for a while because he's not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
So he's going to get this and hold this stat for a long time at a 5.27 average finish.
And
But
that's like even including some of the bad
average
years.
running position. Sorry.
Stuart Haas, right? Like he was there when Stuart Haas wasn't killing it, right?
Well, yeah, but this is the next gen car.
Mhm.
They were, remember Chase Briscoe won there in the beginning of 22, I want to say. And then he was super fast in his last race. He led.
Okay.
He was awesome. So his average running position, the next gen car. William Byron second at a 5.41. Ryan Blaney's third at a 5.61. Then a big jump to Kyle Larson at 8.3. Ross Chastain in fifth at 9.53. Tyler Reddick, Danny Hamlin, Martin Truex, and Chase Elliott in ninth. So just thought this was interesting if you're
Christopher
looking
Bell.
ahead. What's that?
Christopher Bell in 10th. That's the big one to me. I want to
Okay.
comment about that real quick.
Okay, go. No,
because
you got the floor.
I feel like I've noticed Christopher Bell multiple times have like race-ending car failures at Phoenix. So for him to still be 10th is kind of. I know at least one happened during the Final Four. I think in 2023. His brakes went out, and there was one
Yep.
other race. I'm pretty sure at Phoenix.
Well, last
he
year.
had like an engine problem.
Or not last
Was it
year. 2 years.
2024?
Yeah, 23. You're right. 23. He blew
The
a brake
brakes.
rotor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was another one I thought as well, but
He did.
regardless,
He has bad luck there, but his average running position is 12.2, which is 10th. So he's done a good job.
I
Not
grabbed
bad.
some tinfoil because I have a theory.
What is
A
on
tinfoil hat theory. I just say every time somebody retires at Phoenix, they have a really fast car. And I just feel like there's sometimes NASCAR might turn the other way or let them run a little bit of a tapered spacer. Then,
Okay, yeah, that doesn't happen. And lastly, my last full-time race was at Phoenix, and we were not. Well, we were okay, but we weren't that fast because we ruined our. We
Well, you
lost
did
our.
crash your car.
I mean,
Yeah, we lost
Jimmy
our primary car
Johnson,
the
Kevin
massive-
Harvick.
Yeah, whatever. It's because they come in
Did Jimmy
motivated.
Johnson have a good last race?
Yeah,
It
he
was his
finished
best one.
fifth.
Yeah, it was like his best race
Really?
of the whole
Wow.
year. Yeah, if
Yeah.
I remember
That's
correctly.
crazy.
You're only
Yeah.
proving my point more.
Yeah, my bad.
Well, I say this: the 9 won the championship that day, and he was super fast. So Hendrick obviously got the benefit of Hendrick working so hard on that specific weekend. How about that?
Yep.
Sure,
All right.
well, I'll subscribe to that because you don't want me to be a hot take machine. AJ, remember to clip that moment.
Gotcha.
All right.
I'll try.
He's not clipping it. Absolutely. That's never seen the light of day outside of people that watched on YouTube and listened to it. Let's move into F1. Some really interesting report on motorsport.com this week in that Jack Doohan could potentially already have his seat in jeopardy at the moment in favor of Franco Colapinto, who has all that Argentinian money behind him. Now, a little background, Flavio Briatore has become the de facto team principal of Alpine without being called the team principal. He's like a team executive advisor because if you remember, he was the Benetton boss, then the Renault boss, and then was banned for life from F1 after that 2008 crash gate with Nelson Piquet Jr. at Singapore, where Fernando Alonso went on to win. He got accused of that and was basically told, that he's no longer allowed in F1. He got that removed. He has quite a checkered past, by the way. He's been in multiple, legal troubles at times through his life. And at one point had to leave Italy and go to the Virgin Islands and hide in the US and that sort of stuff. So he's been through all sorts of different
Who doesn't?
things. Yeah. I mean, who hasn't been there, but he's a really interesting guy because he's very outspoken and has managed drivers and has also been a team principal, and he's kind of known to finding good talent. Well, on his Instagram, he's literally been posting videos of him or photos of him and Franco Colapinto hanging out and being like, I love this guy. He's amazing. That sort of stuff. And so it's known already they signed one of the largest e-commerce companies from Argentina as a sponsor, which is kind of related to Franco Colapinto. And now people are saying unless Jack Doohan has he's Australian, by the way, unless he has the start of the century, he could seriously be in jeopardy for all the funding that Franco Colapinto brings. The other thing is with that is Argentina is motorsport mad. People, they are well known. If you saw some of the stuff that happened in IndyCar the past 2 years with the Argentinian driver, which his name is evading me at the moment, but he had he was had the biggest following, and all his fans would go crazy on social media at all the drivers that he raced against or had altercations with, and with IndyCar, and there was all that online abuse bullying stuff at the end of last year. He ended up getting removed, right? Well, I met another Argentinian driver, Baltazar Leguizamon, who raced this weekend at Coda, and he has a large following. He races Argentinian stock cars, and he was telling me when what was he telling me? Basically, he said between Franco Colapinto, him, and the IndyCar guy, he was they have just millions of people who are obsessed with them doing well on the international stage. So it doesn't bode well for Jack Doohan.
Well, I will say the NASCAR series, suddenly we got invaded by Argentinians, and they have decided that Blake McCandless is their driver. I don't know why, I don't know how, but every time you just see in the chat and the NASCAR people just going and loving Blake McCandless. So I think they choose a driver and then they support him non-stop. I don't know how they ended up on Blake, but
Wait a second. Can I get the support?
I figure it out. I mean, this.
How did that
You
happen?
know what? Hold on. Let me. You make your pitch, Parker.
Hey, I've never been to Argentina, but I hear the food is good. The people are wonderful, and I am a fan of South America. I have been down there. I've been actually to where have I been? Costa Rica. I've been to Costa Rica. But I would like to say that if you were looking for someone to support in the NASCAR world, I drive the 75 truck part-time. You can't watch me every race, but you can also listen to me on the CW for the NASCAR Xfinity Series races. I would appreciate your support, and I will do my best to represent all the Argentinian fans to the best of my ability. There you go.
Are you convinced, AJ?
No.
I was trying to make it
researching about
political.
Oh, okay.
I was trying
Well,
to. I was trying to.
I
It was like
figured out-
I'm asking for your support. It obviously didn't land. It didn't land.
Well, I'm not
Okay.
from Argentina, so I can't answer it. You know.
We'll get you a
Uh,
Duolingo membership, and then you can go and learn the language, and maybe you can convince them in their native tongue. There
Yeah.
you go.
You know that? Do you know that Top Gear got kicked out of there? Do you ever see that episode
No.
when they went to the Falklands?
Really?
Yeah. This is gonna ruin everything about what I just did, but
Then maybe we
Top-
don't touch it. Maybe we
yeah,
don't touch it.
I mean,
We'll just
I gotta say it because I watched it, but Top Gear, like they had to evacuate out of there because they had a license plate that was sort of insensitive.
Oh.
And Jeremy and James May and
Top
Richard
Gear
Hammond
doing
had to run.
something insensitive.
I know,
that's
unusual,
crazy.
completely unusual.
It was Augustin Canapino, by the way. Was
There
the
we go. That's
Juncos
the name.
Hollinger Racing driver. It's
Yeah.
very close to Colapinto, so I
just-
understand. Like you kind of.
I just heard that they're totally excited to sponsor Henderson Racing too, and
Yeah,
fund you
AJ's
guys
AJ's their
Defensive
driver.
Motorsports too.
because you know they're drivers, so they're excited, looking forward to working with you, AJ.
Yep.
Nice. All right, last couple things in the motorsport world. There's all the TV ratings come out basically on Tuesday, so I thought there was some interesting things here. We have it in our ticker. Millions watched motorsports in the U.S. this last weekend, and it really was millions. You had 4.132 million on Fox for NASCAR Cup, which was the most watched sporting event of the weekend. NASCAR Xfinity was 1.12 million on the CW. They're averaging 1.417 million over the first 3 races of the season, up 34%. I'll just say you're welcome. It's obviously the booth, and we've attracted the viewership.
You guys are doing good. I will say, like the amount of times that I pop on Reddit because I'm
Whoa,
run
whoa.
over to Reddit.
I didn't come here for compliments.
Well, I'm not giving you one.
Oh, okay.
I'm giving Adam Alexander and Jamie a compliment.
That's
You
fair.
just happen to, rising tide lifts all boats. I mean, you're fumbling around in there, but with everyone else around you, you're doing great. Like
Thanks.
they're keeping you on your rails. So,
And then the big news of the weekend was IndyCar with their new broadcast contract on Fox. Will Buxton is now the play-by-play with Townsend Bell and James Hinchcliffe, friend of the show. And actually, Townsend would be a friend of the show. And Will's a friend of the show. We've actually, two of those 3, we've been on the show. Well, they had their first broadcast at St. Petersburg, and it was 1.417 million on Fox, up 45% from last year, the highest opener since 2022 on NBC, which the NBC number had a little bit of Peacock numbers in there as well. So it is actually it was a very small difference, but it is considered the largest linear TV rating for IndyCar outside the Indy 500 since 2011. So big day for them. Big day for IndyCar. Big weekend. Actually, they also had everything on TV. So their practice, their qualifying. Indy Next was on TV for the first time. IndyCar qualifying got 171,000 viewers on FS1, and Indy Next on FS1 got 128,000 viewers. So big for Indy Next.
Yep.
I've never watched an Indy Next race in my entire life, but now that it's on TV, I think I might tune in, and I think my wife will kill me for throwing up another motorsport onto television.
There's a lot of it out there. That's why we're trying to do this show. We're trying to cover all the motorsports, and there's so much out there. The Indy Next, you probably have watched Indy Next. You just didn't realize it was called Indy Lights, and it was the Freedom 100 on Carb Day. Remember that crazy race?
Dude, I don't think I watched it ever. The only reason why I know of that race is because everyone who was disappointed when it went away. Which, knowing what I know now, I mean, maybe I'll hack the IndyCar account and tweet that it's back.
Let's not say that. Oh no! What we could make for is a public plea to bring it back. We want to see it again. I think AJ, didn't you? I've sent you that clip of the 4 wide finish they had.
Oh, at Indy,
Yeah,
the Indy Lights race.
yeah.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure you probably sent to other people as well.
No, I think I just specifically sent to you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Well, let me see. Can
I've
I find
definitely
it?
seen it. I don't know if I saw it because you sent it to me, but I did.
It was
see
2014, I want to say. Let's see if my memory is correct.
Let's see. This
Listeners
is,
out there, we're going to bring up a video of it. For you viewers on YouTube, you obviously know what's happening here. There's 3 people on the screen.
Yep.
It's really unentertaining. We're going to have to really work on the
quickly-
graphics on this deal to say that we're more visually appealing than before when we just have 3 dudes on the screen.
you were incorrect. It was not 2014.
Well, it was a great finish. Maybe it was
Yeah,
that one I'm talking about. It was always just a great finish, this race.
Oh, well, we got to get the 4 wide finish, right?
Was it like on TV or was it like always?
Was it
behind,
a
like,
4 wide
paywall
one or was
something?
it? Well, no, yeah, it was
Yep,
on.
I found it. I found
okay.
it. I found it.
What year was it?
It was
2011.
2013.
Oh, I was off by a year.
Close
Yeah,
enough.
yeah. It's okay. It's okay. What we'll do is we'll do this. We'll here.
How many laps do we have here?
Wow.
This is 1 lap to go.
Flames.
All right.
He's gonna wait. It looked like he was gonna try and make it 2
For those
Just
listening,
one.
we're watching. There's 3 cars. I'm going to do this radio style. There's 3 cars on the screen now.
This is I'm noticing that every car has red on it, which is interesting.
Yep. So now they're side by side down the back stretch. Carlos Munoz was leading. Hitman, he was a hell of an IndyCar driver at Indy.
Wow,
That's
3
Sage Karam in
wide.
the middle, by the way.
Sage Karen. Wow, look at that.
Now I
Yep.
know where he gets it.
Speaking of Coda.
Oh, yeah. Now they're 3 wide.
Oh, look at
And
this. Oh,
Make it
oh,
4.
who you betting on?
Oh, did he
was
get
the
it?
Guy on the outside. Yeah, he got
Was
Yeah,
it.
it the
he got
5? Was
Yeah.
he on the
Yeah, it was
outside?
MC.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
it's pretty epic.
Yeah.
All right.
That's why that race needs to come back. It's 100 miles. It was awesome.
What are
The
the
Freedom
cars they
100.
use? Are they specifically Indy Next cars? Or are they like USF Pro 2000 cars or something?
That's a great question. So the Indy Lights car was specifically an Indy Lights car. I drove that Indy Lights car. The next year, I tested one
Oh, yeah.
in September of 2014. So I drove that. That was a specific Indy Lights type of vehicle. I don't know what the current one is. I think it is just an Indy Lights car. Probably made
Okay.
by Delara Tatis. Tatis was the ones that made all the back in the day, those things. So I don't know. I'm sure Josh can get the answer here at some point.
Oh, yeah. You want me to just look up who makes the Indy Next car? Let's see. Hey, Alexa, who makes the Indy Next car? Let's see what she
You're
says.
the worst producer on the worst show I've ever seen. So we got one last video that I wanted to show you guys. And for those watching and for the listeners, you're just going to have to hear this excitement and then go check it out. I think we've probably reposted this at some point. Josh, put this up here before we get
What?
out of here.
The motorcycle one?
Yeah, I want that.
Sorry,
I thought
was
this
getting,
was wild.
I was getting berated by a thing in the background.
Whatever happened, we've got confirmation.
Oh!
Sorry about that to scare everybody. That was huge. That was huge for Anthony Mazziato.
It's so
and
nuts.
Roger Hayden.
Wild.
So this is like AMA Superbike at
Have you
Daytona.
ever seen anything
Yep.
like this in
And
international racing?
this guy
Mazziato
goes out
gets
to the
it
outside
right.
and
He
literally
hits the
rides
wall,
up the wall,
and he
then
hits it
bounces
well.
off like
Brilliant.
2 or 3
Hayden
other
Schultz
riders
also gets
and
it.
never
Here
wrecks.
comes Tim
Never seen it
Cox
like
for
it.
the win.
It's
Cox
insane.
hard
They're insane
Yeah.
that they go in the bank.
You know-
towards the line. Ooh, he
You know,
also
the
gets close to
shocking
the
thing about this video isn't obviously him bouncing off the wall is insane, but if you look at the infield, they just had the motocross race there that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
you figured like if there was an accident and people would go in the infield, they'd want to like smooth it out more. There's the flagman down there.
Yeah.
I was not
Oh,
expecting that.
jeez.
for
Oh, you're
a,
right. And there's like barriers.
Is that not
Oh,
insane?
man. That's nuts. I never even noticed that.
Yeah.
Ooh, I would not want to hit that barrier.
NASCAR wouldn't even do that.
That's one heck of a barrier right there.
NASCAR does own AMA Superbike, just like they own IMSA.
Well, they need to.
Yeah. They own
I
it all.
felt very queasy looking at the infield and just seeing like there's still like ruts from like the motocross, not from the motocross, but it's very uneven. I mean, I guess they're not spinning in the infield that often, but you never know. People going for wins.
To answer the question, it was Dallara. Dallara makes the Indy.
Oh, so yeah, it's the same one that makes the main IndyCar.
According to Google AI.
Boys, this has been fun.
Oh wait,
what?
I don't know if I should save it. There is some e-scooter news.
No, yeah. What?
E-scooter?
Yeah, I put it at the end of the show notes. We can just go over real quick. I just want to go over the teams with you guys.
Yeah.
Well, first you have to explain what e-scooter is and why you're obsessed with it.
Okay, well, I'm not obsessed with it. It was a joke from a couple years ago, and I always said that I wanted to be like the lead. I wanted to be like the Bob Pockrass of e-scooter. E-scooter championship. You can just search it up on YouTube. Anybody who's maybe Josh will pull up a clip. I don't know. But there's racing electric scooters around in like the middle of like Berlin and stuff like that. Oh, here you go. Yeah, look at this. Oh, that guy just
Marseille.
Door check that guy.
Yeah, elbow.
Oh, I love
look at
that.
this.
They have to push off too.
Yeah.
No, it's epic.
So, yeah, we're watching it right now. Anybody who's not watching, yeah, look at these curbs. Look at those.
Dude, that guy's got such a lead.
And they're
gone.
on basically a go-kart track here, but then they did this like in city centers, and it launched a couple years ago. But you said it's back. It went away, and now it's back.
Yeah, it's back now. And on their website, they have the teams on there now. The schedule's not released yet, so
damn.
Hopefully that comes soon.
Whoa! Wreck it.
Those two
when they wreck, it's hilarious.
Oil on the track.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just want to kind of go over the team. You guys, we can all choose our own teams right now, and then we can kind of go, follow it throughout the season. So first up, you have E-Dragon, and I guess each team has 3 people on each team. I'm not really sure how the points work, but we're gonna figure it out. So we got E-Dragon.
Thanks, Mr. Bob Pockrass of e-scooter.
Figure it out. Electric Renegades, and if you scroll down here, you can look at the other ones. Green Journey Racers, MM Racing Revolution, and then we got Net Zero Racers, Pathfinders, not to be mistaken with the 3.5 version of Dungeons and Dragons, RM Electric, Slipstream, and then my favorite, I think this is going to be my team, Undialed, and then their logo is lit.
This logo is actually
it's not
tremendous.
lit, but it's spelled. It has LIT, and the scooter is the T. But the team's called Undialed, so I'm not really sure.
How did they get a team and not us?
The name and the logo doesn't really make a lot of sense because all the other teams, like their logo is the team name, but this one isn't. So I kind of like that.
That's definitely my favorite team. Just lit,
Yeah,
and it looks like it was written by like a 2-year-old, like doing this. A 3-year-old, basically.
It's kind of like skating style,
Yeah,
there's definitely like a skater who made that logo.
Oh my god, that is amazing.
That is amazing.
You truly are the e-scooter Bob Pockrass.
Yeah, I went on the website today. This could have been on the website for months, but I found it out today and just need to report on it.
That's you get here. I love it. That's amazing, dude. That is amazing.
I didn't know if we were actually going to do this today, and then I was like, oh, I mean, I guess so during my lunch break at work today, I jotted down all the names, and yeah, here we are.
It's big. It's really big. I'm impressed.
It's a great way to end it.
No, I'm impressed. You not knowing any of the actual way the series works is perfect. But guys, this has been fun. I think it was a successful first Wednesday, second show of the week for Money Lap. For everyone watching, please let us know what you think below. For those listening, please let us know what you think on YouTube. Please join us on YouTube. Please come and watch what we're doing. As I said, even on the Monday show, it's going to get more visual. We're going to have more things, more graphics, more stuff on the screen. It's going to look like Anchorman 2, and he just has all graphics everywhere. That's what we're aiming for. But we're definitely we're trying to be more visual. we're trying to make this the best damn motorsport show in the United States and possible. So thank you all. We'll what?
You text Kyle Busch and let him know we were doing this?
I didn't. He doesn't even know about this one. So now we have 2 opportunities every week to get him on. Totally forgot. I am so sorry. All right. So we always have that. We always have that in the normal one. We have to let him know. We're now Wednesday's an option. He has an option for this.
It's a lot lower stakes here. You just got to deal with AJ and I and Parker. Landon's not going to grill you, Kyle.
Possibly Kyle. Well, Landon will be on here. As we said, people will come on. So it's gonna be rotating cast. It's gonna be a little bit more variable. Anyway, thank you all. Peace. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the Money Lap. If you like this show, please like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Share it with friends. We want to spread the word of great motorsports shows, of which we're somewhere up and around there. I'm not exactly sure where, but nonetheless, you can also reach out to us anytime on across social media or at our website, themoneylap.com, or at our email, friends@themoneylap.com. And of course, you can always leave us a review. 5 stars gets you on this very show. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Goodbye.